and generally MS is more globally celebrated rather than MTech. For MS, I had more flexibility to drop in the subject and choose other subjects. So it was like that degree is particularly tailored as per my career goals.
So, like, what topics did you prepare?
So I was a fresher then. Firstly, my focus was on Verilog and System Verilog, and also I scratched the basics of UVM. So these are the bare minimum things for the DV interview.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Anish, and today we have Akriti with us. So she is currently a verification engineer at Ampere, and she has done her MS from Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. So yeah, Akriti, please introduce yourself to our viewers, and then we'll discuss further.
Yeah, hi Anish. Firstly, thank you for having me. So I am a design verification engineer at Ampere Computing's Pune office. So I have over 2 years of experience and worked on their key projects. I have a master's degree in IC design engineering and a bachelor's degree in electronics and communication engineering. So looking forward to a great conversation.
Okay, so first thing is like you are from a tier 3 college. Is it like during your BTech, or it was a good college which had good placements? I'm talking about your BTech currently.
BTech one, so it was at that time it was just created and
Okay.
hasn't been a while, and it was a women's college. So the technical placements were not that good, but it was gradually growing up.
Okay, then after that you decided to do MS from Hong Kong. So why was it so, or did you try India also, or did you try other places like US also?
Okay, so firstly, it was in 2019, pre-COVID times. So I had this perception that India is more centric about MTech and not MS. And I wanted to do MS because then I had the liberty to go in both academia or the industry. And I was somewhat focused upon the PhD. And that's why I opted for MS.
Okay.
And for me, and generally, MS is more globally celebrated rather than MTech.
Okay. Yeah. That
So,
is correct. So,
and
like according to you, like what do you think? Like, what is the difference between MS and MTech? Like, what do you see?
okay, so MTech is more application based, engineering centric. But when we talk about MS, it's more research centric, right? And you have a lot of options after that in the research domain. Either you can be a researcher in some industry, or you can do your PhD and can go into academia. And for me, for what I have experienced from BTech as well as MS, that for MS I had more flexibility to drop in the subject and choose other subjects. So it was like that degree is particularly tailored as per my career goals.
Okay. Yeah. MTech is more like a fixed course curriculum. It's more like a
Right.
fast forward version of BTech. And
When
yeah.
I go outside India, when we consider outside India, so people think MS is better
Okay.
because it's
Yeah.
more recognized than MTech.
So, did you consider US as well, or like, or it was not in your
Oh.
consideration?
So I wanted something which is near India,
Okay.
and that's why Asian universities.
Okay. Yeah. Like out of the Asian universities, can we just say like which were the best? Like I think you have shortlisted few universities during your time.
Okay, so in Asia, firstly we have NTU, Nanyang Technical University in Singapore, and we have National University of Singapore also. Then we have National Taiwan University. There is one KAIST, that is in Korea.
Okay.
Then we have Tokyo Tech in Japan, HKU and HKUST in Hong Kong, and these are just few.
So like when you go over there, these universities, do you have to like learn new languages, or English works well over there?
English works well, but it's rather recommended to avoid the language barrier with your fellow colleagues and classmates.
So you have to learn the local language, whichever they speak on.
Well, I learned the basics, but for me, I had the international cohort, few people from Japan, from Philippines, and then there were few Indians also. So English was the primary mode of communication.
Okay. So did you apply it in all of the universities that you spoke, or like you applied only in few
No,
of those?
no. So I applied at NTU and HKUST because they specifically have this IC design engineering program.
Okay. So you researched before going there which program you want to get into, then like you decided according
Yes,
to that.
yes.
Okay. So can you just briefly say like what is the like fee structure of or like studying abroad like in Asian countries, like they can also get an idea.
In Asian countries, it's like really factored of what we have in the Western countries. I would
Okay.
say if you consider HKUST, at this time it would be around 15 lakhs per
Okay.
annum because
Okay.
mine was 1 year course, but
Okay.
then you had lots of add-on scholarships.
So those you can fill while you are in that state, or like you can fill from here itself.
From India itself. Once you
Okay.
get the admission acceptance, you can fill those. And for the Korean university one, the government will bear all your fees as well as give you monthly stipend to study in
Okay.
Korea.
So, these type of scholarship are present in our government websites, or we have to apply through their websites, whichever present in there.
They are present in the government websites as well.
Okay.
And we have college bulletin boards, right? When we get
Yeah.
the admission acceptance,
Okay. Okay.
we
There they
can
have
access
mentioned.
the portal. Yeah, there they
Okay.
have mentioned.
Okay. Okay. Fine. So then, like, can you just briefly explain about the application process, how you went along, and how long did it took to you get admission in that Hong Kong University of Science and
Okay,
Technology?
generally speaking, each course has its own requirements. So the basic one will be the language proficiency test, but most of the Asian university will exempt that IELTS or TOEFL certificate if your mode of education was English. So in my
Okay.
case, I was exempted. Then you have to present letter of recommendation. Now, these letter of recommendation taken from the professor should be very detailed as well as personalized. It should not be taken from the internet and just filled up.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Okay.
make
Yeah.
sure like you give ample time to the professors to make it very personalized. Then it will be this statement of purpose or the essay. So for writing statement of purpose, it took a lot of time for me because I had to redo the draft again and again.
So you had
So
any friend of yours that was like who was already there who gave you few like recommendations that you should like write like this, or you just did it on your own itself, or you research from
like,
YouTube somewhere?
there were few friends not in the same university but different university across the globe. So I took reference and most was research from the internet.
Okay.
But it's the structure is more or less the same. You have to tell your academic background, your career goals, and like why are you fit for the course, how course is fit for you, and then how can you contribute to the university community if you are chosen.
Okay. And is there any like written test or something? There isn't, right? Or
No, not for me, but sometimes if there are certain rounds, right? So if you are chosen for one round, like if you are going for the third round, which is the last round, and you are filling up for someone else's seat, they might take up an interview. But generally, in our program, I didn't hear it. But other programs, yes, there was an interview.
okay. So then you got admission to the university. So what you felt was different over there? Like you studied here BTech for 4 years, and then you studied there MS. Like what things you found out different there over there?
So here in BTech, it was more theoretical. You have to just mug up the theory and write it in the exams, and that's it. But if for my MS, when we had exams, they would just ask the application of what we have read during the class. And most of the exams were replaced by the projects. So there was lots of hands-on for each and every subject. And that was quite a learning experience for me.
Okay, it was more of a practical like exam type of thing than theoretical
Correct.
exams.
Right.
And your program was 1 year, right? Or it was 2 years?
Yeah, one. So there are two kinds of programs. One is your coursework based, and another one would be the research based. Now you can choose according to your course. Mine was
Okay.
coursework based, which is 1 year, and conventional research based would be 2 years.
Okay. Okay. So why did you choose 1 year? Was there any specific reason for it?
Okay, so I was little confused if I want to go into PhD or if I want to stay in the industry. So I talked up with the professor and they said like if I make up my mind to do a PhD later, I can actually still continue with this program.
Okay. So
That's why for the safer
okay.
side I
Yeah.
chose
Okay.
1 year.
Okay. So then you got I think you got your job at Ampere, or like previously you were doing job at Ampere. What was the case?
So couple of I started looking for jobs like 2 months before finishing my degree, and I heard a lot about Ampere from my seniors also. Like it's a great startup, and the team was really fantastic. And fortunately, one of my contacts was working in
Okay.
Ampere at that
From
time.
Hong
So
Kong
I asked
University.
him, no, not from Hong Kong, from India.
Okay. Like your
Okay.
college senior from India itself was working on
No,
it.
no, actually, my college senior from Hong Kong, so they have an
Okay.
office in Taiwan,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Okay.
yeah, so he was working in Taiwan, and he suggested like this is a great startup, you can go. Then
Okay.
fortunately, one of my Indian friends, like in India, was working for Ampere, so he suggested like it's a good opportunity, and I can learn a lot.
So like I also don't have much idea about Ampere. So can you just briefly like explain what does Ampere do and what are their vision?
Okay, so Ampere, the aim of Ampere is to provide GPU free servers for edge computing applications.
Okay.
Now, the processes which they are providing is quite efficient, and as well as same time they are maintaining the cost. So they are also working on the design footprint and want to make this design sustainable. That is helpful for the planet also.
Okay. So
So
like
what things can
yeah.
be
Yeah.
sorry.
What things
So
can you
what
just
things
say? Yeah.
yeah. So we know like GPU is very application specific. So what thing can be done from GPU? Ampere is trying to do that with CPU, thereby increasing the efficiency but keeping the cost at the bay.
Okay. Okay. So basically they are trying to implement like inside the CPU itself the GPU. I mean.
Okay, so there are certain applications in GPU which can be run at the CPU, such as the server system, which Ampere is focused upon.
Okay. Okay.
So
Okay.
that is the vision of Ampere.
Okay. So like how long have you worked over there? Currently, how long?
Okay, it's been around 2 years.
Okay. So like how was your time over there? Like is it like you have to go to office daily or it is work from home for you or
Hybrid. It's hybrid. It's
it's
hybrid
hybrid?
model for us. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Great. So like I hope like you have done like you learned a lot, I think, up there. Like in a
Yeah,
startup you learn a lot, right? I think when you are initially
exactly.
there.
Exactly. The learning curve, actually, I'm learning a lot each and every day. So, curve is really deep.
And like are your concept which you learned during your MS and your BTech, are those used or you have to like those are used and also you have to learn new things also from research papers and
Yeah.
other places? Is it the
Right.
case?
Right. Yeah. So, few concepts for MS were used. And then there are certain things which are company specific and that you can't learn in some degree course.
Yeah. So
So,
that
yes,
you have
there
to.
is learning every day.
So mostly like when your interview happened, so I think you got a referral from your senior and then you have to
Right.
give your interview, right? So like what topics did you prepare, like, and in brief can you say like
Yeah. So, I was a fresher then.
yeah.
So, firstly, my focus was on Verilog and system Verilog. And
Okay.
also, I scratched the basics of UVM. So, these are the bare minimum things for the DV interview. Then, apart from that, I was very focused on computer architecture, especially the memory and the caches part. Then
Okay.
we have basics of digital electronics, right? Which is asked everywhere. What is difference between the flip flop and latches? How to make, you are given a gate and you have to make it through a multiplexer.
Yeah.
Questions like these. So I prepared those questions very thoroughly.
So you like which resources you followed, like which you studied in your university, or like from YouTube lectures or videos? You can say any channel name or something.
Okay, so for computer architecture, I followed my university slides as well as for electronics also, because those slides were very thorough.
Okay.
For SV, we have EDA Playground, and we have like multiple resources, right? Chip Verify.
Okay, those websites, they
So
are websites.
these are the way, yeah, these are the websites where you can actually learn SV, UVM, Verilog.
And these are very important for whenever you're doing a role in digital, right? I think.
Right. I mean, Verilog is the basis. So most of the time, I have heard that across the companies, they would ask questions from Verilog also, and then gradually taking the level up, they will ask you to code something in SV,
Okay.
and then going to the UVM.
Like, can you just say like what difference is there between Verilog, system Verilog, and UVM? Just in brief.
So Verilog, SV has more flexibility than
Okay.
Verilog, right? So we are using the concept of C++ in Verilog, in system Verilog, thereby we are just bringing all the concepts, right? Like the reusability.
Okay. Of C++, all
So
those things.
flexibility, yeah. So basically, the flexibility is much more in system Verilog. But UVM isn't a language; it's a framework. It's a methodology to make the coding simpler. That is, if you want to replace something deep down in the hierarchy from the top level of the test bench, you can use certain methods to do it. So hence it is just for the ease,
Okay.
right? We are just trying to make things simpler as well as trying to make them more efficient at the same time.
Okay. It's just a framework. It's not a language or
Yeah,
anything. It's just a framework.
it's a methodology.
Okay. Okay. So like I don't think there are much resources for UVM online or.
But the same websites I have mentioned, like Chip
Okay.
Verify, and I think even in the ADA playground, we have these public playgrounds which have these small codes mentioned, which people typed small codes and they have shared it. So one can follow those also.
Okay. Are there interview questions as well over the website, or like there are only those type of basic questions only?
Actually, there is one website called VLSI Guru, if I'm not mistaken, and they
Okay.
have posted few questions, and even Udemy
Okay.
and NPTEL. We can follow NPTEL also for Verilog and Udemy. I don't remember the author's name, but there are actually good videos on SV and UVM, and also their application. Like they have picked up the common RTL and made a test bench using both SV as well as UVM.
Okay, okay, yeah, those are great resources. So, next, like, what are your plans? Is it like, I think you also worked in some other company in Hong Kong for a short while. So, can
Right.
you just talk about that?
Okay, so as I mentioned, I was a little confused that whether I wanted to go into PhD or not. So I was thinking up to start my PhD, and that was basically a government-funded research company or lab, and I was there on the government scholarship.
Okay,
So but the role which I was considered for and the role which I was actually doing was very different, and it was
okay,
moving away from my career trajectory, and that's why I decided to quit it.
okay, okay, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Like, sometimes it happens, like, you give the interview, then you're doing something else. It is a
Exactly,
big
and that
problem.
was like initial of my career, and I
Okay, yeah,
don't
yeah,
want to waste my time in learning nothing.
yeah, yeah. So like now you are settled here, you want to work here only. I think like you are learning here every day
Yeah,
something interesting, so
exactly.
that's a great thing. Okay.
Yeah, I'm very like I am planning to stay here for long.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, it was great chatting with you, Akriti. So any parting words you want to say to our viewers, like who are in their first year of BTech or in their second year of BTech, interested to work in this domain, like which subjects they should focus on, or how to shed, how do like they should prepare for this industry?
As I mentioned, like start with the digital electronics or analog
Yeah,
because
like
VLSI is a big domain.
yeah, you should pick both and then decide, like after you study both, then you decide like which interests you more, then
Decide
you go forward with that.
exactly. So if you, say if you pick up, if you study both, and if you think analog is best, then you can. We have analog verification. We have AMS design, and if you want to go into digital, then we do have multiple domains. We have DFT, we have DV, we have RTL design, then we have PD. So if you are into coding, you can actually start focusing on Verilog, System Verilog, UVM. If you are interested into PD, there are certain like resource free tools and resources where you can actually practice this place and route thing over the small projects. So the basics would be learn the basics of VLSI, your electronics, digital as well as analog, computer architecture, and basics of whatever you are interested in. Since I'm
Yeah,
in DV, so I would also add that please learn few protocols. Those are very helpful.
you mean
Not
communication
only in the
protocols?
right, like UART, HP, XI.
Okay.
So those are very helpful even in industry also when you are working.
Okay, so like if there is some student like he's from a tier 3 college, and generally they don't get like hired to any companies for VLSI, so
Okay.
they want to do MTech or MS. So like what will be your suggestion to them? Like should they do it from the like these Asian countries, or should they do it in India also? Like in my perspective, what I think is that if like they want to do research or something, so it's better like
Hmm.
they do it outside. And if they want to directly get into the university, I mean industry at the start, so uh, if they are getting a chance to do MTech at IITs, I think they should prefer that.
Hmm. Okay, so as per me, there is no one size fits all answer to this question. It's very personal. I mean, whatever aligns your personal goals as well as your career goals. So, if someone is interested in some field or some program which is there at IIT, but which is not as well developed in any other country, then I think one should go for other countries, right?
Okay,
And
no,
if someone has, sorry.
you mean one should go for MTech like in this country itself, or
No, I'm saying choose anything which is specific to your program. It shouldn't be like I want to do MTech if I want to do MS. Nothing like that. Say if you want to do something analog IC specific,
yeah,
but the program here in India is underdeveloped,
yeah,
and you
then you
think
should.
some XYZ university abroad is providing it, and it's far better than that in India. So then obviously you should opt for it abroad.
So how to
Or
research for that? How do you research for that this university is providing better than currently what I have in this country?
so you can Google it firstly. The first step is obviously Google. Search which university is providing what programs. If you want to do general VLSI, because most of the universities in West provides VLSI under electrical and electronics department. They don't have a specific IC design or a specific VLSI course, right? So if for me, I wanted to do IC design, so I searched for the course and certain universities popped up. Then for me, I checked the curriculum, like which suits my need. For me, I wanted to do something hands-on because I believe that my BTech program was lagging, and I want to do something more hands-on. And HKUST's curriculum was best for it. So then I opted for it. So it's like as per the person's need, what they want, what their career goal is. There are certain people who wants to work globally, and they want to experience a certain culture. So that can also be a contributing factor in choosing the universities abroad.
Yeah, you summarized all these points very well, because yeah, students like me also, I also have very little idea about MTech and all those things because I haven't researched much. So like as you have done both of them, so you will be able to better guide the students. So yeah, thank you Akriti for coming to our channel. I hope you like do your best, and whatever you want to do, like you do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anish, for having me. It was great.